The Eagles and Patriots having joint practice. The headline of it, of course, is A.J. Brown working against his former team. Sal Paolantonio caught up with A.J. Brown, and as only he can, he gets right to the point on the question everyone wanted answered.
I will always have love for Philly, regardless of if I'm liked or hated. It's love, you know. We won a Super Bowl together. I'll never forget that. I love my fellow teammates. I still talk to them. It's love, man.
Talk to Jalen?
Not him, but okay. A lot of guys. But I'm sure we'll probably catch up at some time this week.
Okay, if you were watching this at the Medill School of Journalism or any other journalism class, take notes. That's how you do it. Don't beat around the bush. Don't fumfer around. Just ask directly and quickly the question everyone wants answered. Sal Paolantonio joins us, and that's why he's the best. Sal, take us behind that. The whole interaction there, not you and A.J. so much as A.J. and the former team, the Jalen Hurts of it all. What did you take away from the day yesterday?
You know, thank you, Green. It was such a multi-layered dynamic to what happened yesterday on that practice field, and then after it when A.J. Brown talked to the press, and then he did the one-on-one with me. And I just would like to start with big picture in terms of where A.J. Brown is with the New England Patriots. But first, let's start with the follow-up question. I mean, I asked him about Philadelphia. I asked him about, you know, a simple question, and he volunteered that he was still talking to his teammates. So I was sort of obligated to ask him that follow-up question. If I didn't, obviously it would have been a big hole in the interview because he brought it up. I don't like to pry into the affairs of players necessarily, but this was such a big deal in Philadelphia. It was played out in public. And I hope they get together and talk this week before the Eagles leave town on Saturday. I think it would be great for everybody. But I think when you look at the Patriots and where they are with A.J. Brown and Drake May, you got to be impressed. I was impressed yesterday. I've been watching training camp practices for 35 years. I know when things are going well on a football field between a quarterback and a wide receiver. And clearly, these two guys, now this is the 9 route, the first play from scrimmage right in front of the fans. They had A.J. Brown run a 9 route, and Drake May put it right in the exact spot it needed to be. But at the last second, Quinyon Mitchell, number 27, who is a first-team All-Pro at cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles, knocked it away. There might have been a little hole that he got away with, but that was the only pass that A.J. Brown did not catch yesterday from Drake May. Now, preseason training camp, I've always been taught by Dick Vermeil, is about evaluation, not conclusions or judgments, mainly because you can't hit the quarterback in practices. That's the thing. So quarterback gets away with a lot of stuff. But I thought that Drake May and the connection he had with A.J. Brown was real and really in good progress.
So, Sal, stay with me as I would keep you in this conversation, but I want to go to Tim. And I will continue to give you credit, Tim, because during the draft evaluation process of Drake May, he had his doubters. Certainly plenty of people liked him a lot, and he went 3rd overall, but he had his doubters, and you put it on the line. You came on this show and you said, this kid, if I had the first pick, I would take him. You loved him immediately. Obviously, he took his team to the Super Bowl last year. What do you think the addition of A.J. Brown will mean for him in year 3?
It's a massive help for a guy that's already a remarkable player. And so I think that's what is so critical with this. When you have a receiver that is as physically talented as A.J. Brown, it can clean things up for you as a quarterback, meaning, all right, like, what are they doing to him specifically? And based on the type of attention he is or is not getting, that can make the decision, it can speed up kind of the decision-making process of, okay, now what am I doing with the football? And oftentimes that can happen pre-snap. So you get, you know, hey, I know I have isolated coverage on that. I'm giving him a chance. He doesn't need separation. I can throw him a contested catch ball. Or, absolutely, hey, all of this attention is going his way. Look, that's fine. Now I know I've got numbers the other way. So I don't think that when you add an elite receiver, you can kind of understate what it means for a guy that's a top-tier quarterback.
So there's that side of it. And then, Sal, there's the other side, which is Jalen, whatever their relationship was and is and will be, which is Jalen now moving on without him in yet another new offense. You talked about it yesterday a little bit here about, I think you said it was like having Miles Davis play the violin as they're changing the offense up as much as they are. What is your sense of where that is as we sort of zero in on the first week of the season?
Well, Jalen Hurts has had his ups and downs this preseason and in training camp. He hasn't played in any preseason game, and I don't know if he will. But the new offense has been difficult, fits and starts, mainly because the replacements for A.J. Brown haven't been on the field. Mekhi Lemon, their first-round pick out of USC, dealing with a hamstring injury, and they don't know when they're going to get him back to full strength on the field. And Devontae Smith was out for 4 or 5 days, also with a hamstring injury. So Jalen's trying to learn a new offense, again, without his best wide receiver who's playing in New England. People always ask me, how much pressure is on Jalen Hurts? And I say that whole question is misplaced. The pressure is on Sean Mannion and Nick Sirianni to make sure that Jalen Hurts has what he can to succeed this year. That's, to me, is the bottom line. Jalen Hurts has a great record over the last 4 years, 765 winning percentage. That's number 1 in the National Football League. He's 11-0 against Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, and Josh Allen. 11-0 in his career. So Jalen Hurts has won big games for the Philadelphia Eagles. MVP of a Super Bowl. Figure it out and make sure that he is capable of handling this change.
Jordan, I'll come to you on that. How about that? If there's anyone who can adapt, you would think it's him because he's had 11, Sal pointed out the number is 11 different play callers going back to college, and he's still as young as he is. But this feels as though it is a pretty significant change. How do you think it will go?
Yeah, he's going to have to do more things that he has been a little uncomfortable with the last couple of years. If you just look at the Eagles offense with Jalen Hurts the last 2 years, they targeted the middle of the field between the numbers at the lowest rate in the NFL by far. League average is well over 50%. They're well below 40%. So they got to start targeting the middle of the field. That's one thing the LaFleur-Shanahan offense does. So he's going to have to do that. They need to get under center more. They were 27th in the NFL in under center rate last year. That's going to help out the run game, going to help out the play action. And they also have to move a little bit more pre-snap. So some of the offense is going to take care of itself, but he in himself has got to be comfortable throwing the ball over the middle of the field consistently, because that's when this offense takes off.
Jeff, to get in here.
Well, I also think when we come back to Sean Mannion, they loved him when they interviewed him. He seems dynamic. He seems like he's got a great future, but he also has never called a game in the NFL level. And you never know how it's going to be for a new play caller and how he's going to fare until he's in that spot himself. I don't care how smart he is. I don't care how dynamic he is. I don't care how much he gets along. You don't know how that's going to go. So that's the great unknown with this Eagles offense. How is he going to fare on opening day when the game starts and he has to make that call with the game on the line?
Sal, finish it up for us.
I think the Eagles will figure it out if they get Mekhi Lemon and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts back on the field. Remember, the final 2 weeks of training camp is so important because the public practices are over. That's when they really install things and they begin to really practice hard for their first and second games of the season. I think they've got to get these guys back on the field in the next couple of weeks so that Jalen Hurts is more comfortable doing exactly what Jordan said Sean Mannion wants him to do in this new offense.
Sal, awesome yesterday and today. Thank you very much. We'll check in with you again early and often as we can throughout this season. Sal, awesome. And then the Eagles have to deal